I am the great and powerful Oz. Who are you? And as Dorothy responds, I am Dorothy, the small and meek. And who wouldn't feel that way in front of this guy? Here we are, we're up to the least popular card in the tarot, which is hard to believe because we have cards like the Death card and the Devil card and the Explosive Tower card. But this guy gets a really bad rap. I mean, it's hard not to look at him and think of straight, white, male privilege and patriarchy and all that stuff. And I think of that too when I look at the card. And this is a very stern looking gentleman that Pamela Coleman Smith has depicted here. He's on a really hard throne and he's got armor underneath his clothing, so he's ready for a fight no matter what his age. So this guy's a tough nut. And who doesn't have father issues? So there's all kinds of things going on in this card that immediately leap out at us. One thing I don't like what Pamela Coleman Smith did was made him very old. This is typical, as we'll see in some of the earlier tarot depictions. But when we look at the Empress card, they're usually women in their 30s at the oldest, still in childbearing years. And then we have this old man sitting on a throne. Supposedly, if that's the Empress and this is the Emperor, this is her husband. It was ever thus, wasn't it? Anyway, so going back to the Marseille, the oldest decks, the Jean Noblet here, it's interesting about the Emperors. It's one of the cards, so again, this is one of the older decks, and this was modernized in 1909 this way, but there's not a lot of difference. They haven't really changed up, and I find, as you'll see as I go through these cards, this guy doesn't change a lot. He is what he is, and the artists and the creators tend to stick to this kind of concept. We see the orb repeated, we see the eagle, and sometimes he's on the side. We often see this cross-leg thing too. He's kind of making the number 4 as he's the number 4 in the major arcana. So just moving on from there, a modern 1970s deck. Here we have the Sheridan Douglas, and again, same idea, same vibe. Not much change from the ancient Marseille, except for the vibrant colors. And speaking of color, I do like to see red in the Emperor. It's linked to Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars, the red planet. So it makes sense to see that color in this card. So here we go through some of the lesser depictions to my favorite depictions. I'm not sure what the Osho Zen had in mind when they named him the Rebel. There's nothing rebellious about the Emperor. He wants to stay in control and he wants to keep control. So this might be the stage where he takes over the throne, but it makes no sense to me for the Emperor to come up as the Rebel. Also in the Alchemist Tarot. Anyway, I'm sure I got the title wrong. Alchemical Tarot, that's it. Okay, so here we have, I didn't like the old guy, but this guy is too young and maybe a little too nude and fit to get that sage emperor, I'm in control vibe sort of going on. People wandering around naked without their armor, it just doesn't get that quality across. They have gone with the red just the same. And I don't mind gender play with a lot of the cards. As I said, with the Empress, we had sort of a male-ish presenting Empress last month in the Numinous Tarot and in the Fifth Spirit Tarot. And here we are back to the Numinous Tarot. And there's no reason why a badass black woman can't be the Emperor. The coloration is good. But then they've changed it to the Founder, and now you've got two things that are sort of drifting away from what we would consider tradition. And so I think they maybe have gone just a little too far afield in this case. This is from the Connolly Tarot, and a great emperor, just the right age, I would say. He looks kind of middle-aged, sorry for the blur. And why, though, is he draped in all this greenery, which is more the Empress's color? I mean, there is some nods to scarlet in here as well. We see the orb, as I said, we see often with this guy, and the ram's heads, because again, as I said, Aries is a connection to this card. So looking back at some of the cards we've already looked at, you'll see rams here and there featured on the card. Here, the Emperor is actually presenting as a ram male hybrid, and I actually like this version of the card. I like all the designs on his chest and body, which would take work and organization, and I guess they would have meaning, and there would be certain tools that would need to be used, and that's all very emperor-y, like an engineering vibe I get from this. But again, the coloring is not quite right for me. So speaking of coloring, now we're going to get into some real hot red, fiery emperors. So this is the Thoth Emperor, and I think they've done a good job on this. We have sort of a lamb instead of the ram, but we also have that eagle shield being brought forward all the way back from the Marseille Tarot. The crossed leg, the sideways glance, the orb. So it's all there, and I do like the fact that you pull this card and it is just going to pop out next to other cards because of that red fiery color. The Fountain Tarot, same. And I like that he's in this cube because it is the number 4, and the Emperor is a structured guy and he builds things. So he's built this structure which he's standing on, and now he's created another structure. But is he trapped within his own structure brain where everything has to be in its place? So it can be kind of an OCD vibe to this card. So I really like how this is all presented. I like to see him a little closer because I like to be able to identify with the character. This is the Light Seers, and I think this is a good representation. It's nice to see diversity. Now we've got the ram as a skull up here. That's the planet Mars he's sitting on, very red. And I like the chess piece because he is a strategist, among other things, as you have to be when you're a leader. Now, full frontal nudity, male nudity alert on this one from the Cosmic Tribe Tarot. So everything is there, including his junk, but the coloring is good, the orb, all the body posture, everything is really, really perfect. And, you know, if you're going to think about the patriarchy, it kind of comes down to the dick in some ways, psychologically, maybe the root of all this. So I really, really like this representation. I also like to see the emperoring. So here he is in ancient Rome with a draft of architectural plan here that he's executing, the Colosseum or something. And I like it. He's in charge. Once again, we have another emperor in charge. Sort of over this village. There's a Marc Chagall quality to this. This is from the World Spirit Tarot. And I like that he's in this balcony with all the 4 suits emboldened on it. And that just shows that he does have power over all the elements. And yeah, the colorization isn't there. I missed the red. But I'm good with the royal purple. And I just like that we see that he's a sovereign of a very specific town. And that you are down here as a shadowy small figure, and he is up here, so we're back to I am Oz, the great and powerful, and you are the small and the meek. Here's an emperor from the Dreaming Way. This is the wrong colorization, but I really enjoy it because we're starting to get a softer emperor, which is what I'm looking for. I want the organization, I want the leadership, I want the power. but I just need it to be a little more gentle than some of the cards that we've seen. And this looks like a very thoughtful kind of emperor. He's got the Ankh that has been repeated in some of the other cards, some armor on as well. He's in nature, so he seems to be overseeing the Empress's domain, which is very appropriate. Again, we don't see red, but I'm okay with this because of that connection to the Empress. Mother Nature is great, but when it's out of control, we need an emperor to build a dam or some kind of structure to keep it in check. I like this old sea captain. I know he is old. Maybe it's just his beard. His face isn't that old. This is from the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot. And the reason I like this guide, again, wrong colorization, but you'll see here that this is a female hand that's come in and is helping him steer the ship. And that's the softening that I was talking about. I like to just see something that leans more towards maybe a protective, fatherly vibe than just this totalitarian leader type guy. So the fifth spirit tarot does something very interesting. So we've got this male presenting emperor, and he's got these sort of white, almost invisible ram horns. He's got a protractor and gears and other things, blueprints for architecture, tape. But he also has a female boob. And that might be jarring for some people, but to me that actually does speak of the softening aspect that is possible and encouraged with the kind of control that the emperor has. So I really like that. He's got the sign of Aries tattooed on his arm as well. So going along with that fatherly vibe, I really like this emperor from the Tarot of the Old Path. Again, we see him in nature that the Empress has provided. We've got a live ram that's come around, but a very gentle looking one. You know, the orb, the body language, everything is in place, the color red, not too old. But what is really great about this is, like, we see again what he is protecting in terms of the town or his home or whatnot. But literally his children are playing in the background here. And I think that's the emperor at his best. He's a protective force. So, you know, his family can enjoy and relax because he's got things under control and there's nothing to worry about. So my last two are just my favorites. I just like the art, to be honest with you. Everything is there. We've got the eagle shield and the beautiful scarlet coloring. This is from the Efflorescent Tarot. He looks kind. He has a kind look in his eyes. Again, I'm sorry, it is blurry. But he's a very kind-looking emperor, gentle rulership, and just a beautiful-looking card overall. And along the same lines, nothing new to see here, but from the Slow Tarot, gorgeous scarlet coloration. Again, a live ram, a more middle-aged, younger kind of emperor. The sideways profile, even though he's not sitting. It looks like there's been some military service at some point, so that's a nod to the armor that we saw him in. And he's just overseeing things and in control, and again, a kind of gentle, don't worry, I've got this kind of look on his face. So I hope maybe that's helped you like the Emperor a little more than you did before. So thank you for coming back and looking at my videos, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.